Here's Prescott. Just throws it deep as far as his arm can take him. He caught it! Micah Parsons on the move. Micah Parsons is in! Welcome to the big show, Tony Pollard. Oh, going deep. It is intercepted.
But I'm not going to say a word, but I will say one thing right now.
Prescott, touchdown. Good protection, and the pass wide open. Touchdown, Lamb.
Well, hello there, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the channel. It's Space Cowboy here with another video for you guys here today. And we have some unfortunate news coming out of training camp for the Dallas Cowboys. On the first day of practice, in the first couple of hours, Donovan Wilson suffered a calf strain. And this is going to sideline him for the remainder of training camp, but also the entire preseason. And even with that, the week one matchup against the Giants, we're not sure if he's going to be available for that as well. But there is optimism he'll be there, to say the least. So we're going to talk about what happened, what options the Cowboys have, and, should we really stress about this entire injury. So to start things off, he suffered a grade 2 calf strain. So for those that don't know, there are 3 types of calf strains or grades. That's how they refer to it in the medical field. So the first grade is basically you're out for a week. The second is you're out for at least a month, give or take. And then the third is you're out for like 3 to 6 months, depending on the severity of that. So we're kind of lucky that this happens very early. And again, injuries are a part of the game, and we don't want to see anybody get injured, regardless of who they are and all that other stuff. But at the end of the day, this is part of football. So we aren't going to see him for the entirety of training camp in the preseason, but is this as big of a deal, and should we really worry about it? I'm not saying we shouldn't blow it off, to say the least, right? I think that this is something where it's serious because you did give Donovan Wilson a 3-year deal, and unfortunately, if you've been following Donovan Wilson's career, one of the biggest things that's plagued him is an injury history, right? And when he's played, he's been a fantastic player for the Dallas Cowboys, but, over his entire tenure with the team, he's been injured. So that's really one of the biggest focal points there. Now, the other thing, too, is that we're not in a situation where last year you can compare it to like a wide receiver room where you literally have CeeDee Lamb and a bunch of other guys, and you, like, for example, you added James Washington. He gets hurt during training camp. And you basically have really no number 2 or even number 3, and you're just like scrambling to be like, okay, who can do it? But the Cowboys have a deep safety room, right? We talk about who they have. They have Malik Hooker. They have Jaron Kearse. They also have other guys that joined the team. You talk about a guy like Marquise Bell, for example, who I was pretty high on last year because, as an undrafted free agent, I thought he was a guy that was probably going to be drafted by some team. But then he comes to the Cowboys, and he's made lasting impressions. And this is a perfect opportunity for him to step up and possibly earn himself another roster spot this year. Another interesting note to keep in mind is DeMarvion Overshown. You'd be like, dude, isn't he a linebacker? The thing with DeMarvion Overshown is he's one of those hybrid players, and we talked about this during the draft process, is that he is a guy that can play a role similar to that of Jaron Kearse. He can go into those linebacker packages. He can also go into those safety packages. And the reason I say that is because I do think he's going to make the team. He's a third-round pick. But the main thing about it is that Jaron Kearse has only 1 year left on his deal, and I believe Malik Hooker as well. So it's going to be pretty important for these young guys to step up because there is an avenue for them unless that these dudes get contract extensions, which Jaron Kearse, I could definitely see that. But as for these other dudes, there's an opportunity for them ahead of themselves to make a name and then on top of that get some playing time. So the next kind of factor into this is, okay, if Donovan Wilson isn't a go for week 1, is it as big of a deal? Well, it's not necessarily that big of a deal because we did see last year the Cowboys really kind of employed this rotation at the safety position to where, okay, you have Malik Hooker, you have Jaron Kearse, you have Donovan Wilson, but you're not forced to play all of them at the same time. Basically, you have that luxury. If Donovan Wilson was just the only safety we had there, and, remember, we were at a time where the safety position wasn't valued here in Dallas. It's just crazy to me how times have changed. So I'm not, that worried. However, there was another name that did come up in discussions, and that was Israel Mukuamu. People are like, oh, just throw him at safety. To me, I think Israel Mukuamu is more of a corner than he is a safety, and he also suffered an injury with something with his hamstring. Now, it's not as serious as Donovan Wilson's, but then again, we still haven't gotten those details yet, and even if he's still okay and he's good to go, I don't think that he's, a guy you go put him back at safety, because for me, looking at the tape and looking what he's done a lot of good work at the cornerback position. And I think that he can make a name for himself there and possibly push one of these other dudes off that we've been trying to see, hey, you're going to throw all these draft picks at corners. Also, you have a guy like Eric Scott, and you have all these other names, and I know I'm diverting the conversation to the cornerback room, but my point is that the Cowboys have thrown a lot of bodies at that secondary to where you can mix and match however you want to go about it. And again, we never had that luxury before. A lot of the times it was like, okay, this is the room, and you just got to pray to God no one gets hurt. So I don't really have much more to say on this other than, we wish for Donovan Wilson to have a quick and speedy recovery, and hopefully he's ready to go by week 1. But I think this opens the opportunity for all these other young dudes that I know I might have not named a whole bunch of them, but you have some room to make a name for yourself, and I hope that you do. So with that being said, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I will catch you guys in the next one. Have a great rest of your day.